Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program. Hello and welcome to another dose of Subscription Prescription. This is the podcast where we help you figure out everything related to D2C subscriptions. I'm your host, Matthew Holman, and today we are going to be talking about discounts, gifts, and promotions. For those of you, January is a time for planning. You're getting ready for the year, trying to figure out a bunch of stuff of what you want to run. For those of you that are in the supplement or the wellness space, January is Q5. It is like this extra overflow of people with New Year's resolutions and trying to figure all this stuff. So you're doing promotions right now. So what I kind of want to talk about in this episode is thinking through and looking at the effectiveness of discounts, gifts, and promotions and some of the pros and cons and how we're going to use them, right? Now, this is something you've thought about a ton. I'm sure that you're constantly trying to figure out about how we're going to get sales while protecting margin. What can we use as an incentive or as a lever? One of the most common incentives with subscriptions is the discount, right? Subscribe and save for 10% off, 15, 10, 20, 25, 30, right? So that's one of those most common plays that we make to get people to subscribe and save. So the power or beauty of discounts, right, is that we're giving somebody an option to get something a little bit cheaper than they could otherwise, and we're asking in exchange for some kind of commitment, right? Committing to a subscription. Now, the downside to discounts, as you all know, aside from like losing some margin, is that we are, in a sense, kind of catering to get people to get our product a little bit cheaper. And often people will do that and will cancel right away, or maybe they aren't necessarily the best type of subscriber because they're just value seeking. They're looking for the cheapest price of your product. Now, that is not to say that you shouldn't be using discounts, but I do think it's healthy to look at discounts for what they are, right? And it is true that the bigger the discount, there's usually a direct correlation between the bigger the discount, the better your conversion rate. If you already have traffic, usually warm traffic that's already a little bit familiar with your offer. So if I go up in discount, then I'm usually going to convert more people. But of course, the more and more I use on discount, the more and more money I'm going to lose. So with discounts, some of the interesting options in this space are when we're layering in some of the different purchase options that are available. I'm going to talk about promotions a little bit later. But for now, one of the more compelling cases we're seeing with how people are leveraging discounts is using like bulk options, or what you get when you buy for more than one person, essentially, right? So this is the idea of like if you're buying for one or two people, if you're buying a 1 month supply versus a 3 month supply. At this point, we're not so much discounting as we are creating an incentive for somebody to buy more from us at once. And there's a bit of a nuance here because we do see a stronger customer that takes bulk options than those that don't. These are people that have either tried your product in the past, they have a really strong referral, or they have somebody that's, used that before, or they're ready to commit because this is something as part of like a life change or something, right? You're seeing somebody that is a value seeker as opposed to a discount seeker. And a value seeker is going to see a lot more value in that discount related to a bulk option than somebody that's just buying the subscribe and save option because of a discount. Now, an additional way to lean more into this value seeker is to actually, instead of using a discount when we're talking about bulk buying, is actually lean into giving somebody more the more they purchase. So for example, if somebody, instead of selling it as a 3 month supply, you could say it's like buy two, get one free. So we're giving you 3 months worth, but you're only paying for 2 months and you're getting a third bag or third month free. Now, again, there is nuance here, right? Anybody at home can do that math and say, hey, this is the discount on that option or not. But again, we're speaking to a different type of consumer who sees value in bulk buying. So just think about somebody who's going to go to Costco versus somebody who's not, right? Like not everybody that shops at Costco is rich necessarily, but people that buy at Costco get a lot of value at buying more from that single purchase than they would at a normal grocery store. They prefer doing that in many instances. So that's why that lever can be really, really effective. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about here is gifts. Okay, so gifts, when we think about subscriptions, are often thought about as you can do a gift up front, you can do a gift as part of the renewal process as an incentive to get somebody to stay. Now, when we're building kind of like these bigger complex offers, gifts become really, really compelling. So like I just mentioned, this idea of doing like a buy two, get one free, that is essentially a gift. You're gifting somebody that third bag. But we can do other things as well. So like, hey, here's a 1 bag, here's a 3 bag option, here's a 6 bag option. The 6 bag option has a gift that's valued at $20 or $30 associated with it. So the idea here with this type of offer strategy is we're placing a ton of value on that third option. You can even have those progressive discounts enabled where we're doing like 10% off 1 bag, 15% off 3 bags, 20% off 6 bags. But on that 6 bag option, we're also offering a gift or several gifts to make that option feel really, really valuable to anybody that is looking at that or is interested in that. The additional benefit to all of this is we do get a bit of an anchoring effect, right? Where we're seeing somebody seeing some of that value, but maybe they're not quite ready to go for that. So they take the 3-month, or the 3-month looks pretty good, but they're willing to start on the 1 month with the subscription option instead of buying a one-time price here. So gifting can be a really compelling option to put on top of that. I would say if you have a diverse catalog, if you have products that are commonly bought together, that you should look at using your existing products as gifts. If you don't have anything that would work necessarily as a gift, look at maybe investing in some sample sizes for certain types of your product. Like if you're selling coffee and creamer, you could gift creamer, right? Or you could gift sample sizes of other coffee or sample sizes of creamer, right? Those can be really effective gifts because they work with the product somebody's buying. Or if they're buying coffee, it can be a mug, right? A lot of supplement brands are selling those like little electric mixers that help mix up the drink that you're making as examples there. So gifts can be really compelling in that point. The other reason I like gifts is because it's really easy to test like conversion rate, how people are coming in. It's something that happens right at the point of purchase, so that when we're talking about like in the future, we're going to have an episode talking about the differences between acquisition and retention and subscriptions. You want to be looking at acquisition can be a really easy lever to pull to influence retention in a positive way downstream. Gifting is one of those kind of key elements that makes that work a little bit better. Now, it's really common to see a lot of brands and a lot of subscription platforms that are pushing like this idea of like offering gifts to help benefit renewal rates. And there is no doubt that gifts will help do that, right? The problem is if we're looking at improving month 2 renewal rates and we're gifting something to everyone, one of the things that isn't really easy to do right now that I'm excited for the future of AI would be starting to like understand who's actually at risk in that cohort and just targeting people that are at risk of churn and sending them that gift. But right now we can't do that with AI, or at least not yet. So we have to send that to everybody. Okay. So the downside there is if I'm sending a product, even if the product just cost me $2 and I've got, 10,000 subscribers, I've now spent $20,000 if I haven't spent any extra money on shipping or packaging to send all of my subscribers this $2 gift, right? Multiply that up, if it's $5 or a $10 gift. So $20,000, am I going to see a big enough renewal rate increase that provides enough margin to more than offset the cost of that gift? Otherwise, it's not really that effective. If you break even, that's good because you'll have more subscribers that will renew. If you're losing just a little bit, it can still be beneficial downstream, but it's difficult to do that profitably for subscriptions. So when we're looking at our retention rates over time, I do think it's a good practice to target months that look valuable to you and run this as an experiment to see how effective this can be. But it's difficult to do that in a way that is cost effective and both profitable for the brand. However, there are some other extra ways that we can leverage gifts. We can have people opt into those gifts. So in the billing reminder, we can embed a little widget or a button that says, hey, we'd love to send you a free gift. Click here to accept it. That can be extra fun if you have 2 different types of gifts. Then you have a little bit of gamification where people can view what they want. And when they're clicking that, they're not really paying attention to the part of the billing reminder, which is the renewal piece, right? So they're excited about that. And then you're only really sending the gift to people that have wanted to do that. If somebody was already going to cancel, they're going to cancel. So that's one way to change the kind of calculus of sending everybody a gift. Have people opt into that gift. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another way to do that is at the exit. When somebody's going through your cancellation flow, I do like testing gifts versus discounts with some brands to see like, hey, would you stick around with this gift that works really well on like, hey, the subscription's too expensive kind of thing. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about gifts, I really like looking at gifts being front loaded as part of the subscription experience. Or if you are using gifts downstream to help with renewals, make that really clear when people are buying from you, right? That's one of the reasons to subscribe. I'm sure we've seen it on countless websites where somebody says as one of the benefits of being a subscriber, you get access to, special products and gifts and stuff like that. A lot of times people say that and there's not really anything happening, right? Whereas at the other end of the spectrum, you've got like the magic minds of the world that are like throwing the kitchen sink at you to get you to subscribe, right? So somewhere in the middle of that is finding an opportunity like, hey, on month 2, we like gifting people this. On month 4, we like gifting this. Say it's like swag or merch or supplementary or complimentary products. Hey, let's put that on the product page and let's make sure that's really clear on the onboarding, like welcome to your subscription email. Like, hey, as a subscriber, month 2, 4, 6, you're going to get these things. We can make sure that those are embedded as banners inside the subscription portal and put them in the billing reminder. Like, hey, on this month, you're getting a gift. So if we are going to do gifting, we want to make sure that we're leveraging that so it helps us acquire more subscribers up front. It's part of how we're onboarding people. It's not really just like a surprise and delight thing, because surprise and delight can have an impact, but I've just seen much stronger impacts when we lean into it a little bit more across the entire process, the customer experience. And ultimately, when we talk about the power of acquisition versus retention, a gift, if that can improve your conversion, your take rate for subscriptions or improve your overall conversion rate, I would rather see that. That's going to put more people in the bucket that my retention efforts can then try to keep. Okay, the final thing is discounts. Now, discounts is like one of the biggest headaches in subscriptions, I think, because we all want our existing subscribers to not come back and get extra discounts, right? Or we're going to run a special in January. We're going to run a special around Black Friday or Memorial Day, right? We're going to do an extra 10 or 20% off subscriptions, or we're going to do site-wide 30, 40%. Well, the problem with that is if I'm a subscriber at 20%, I might cancel my subscription and go get all of those other things. So I'm going to start by saying there is an element of that is really difficult to avoid. So if you're thinking about promotion practices, you should be weighing the benefit of acquiring more customers and the margin you're getting from those sales, and look at your churn spikes during those periods and evaluate the amount of margin you're losing. And if it's not a really clear that the promotion is the right way to go, then I would say, hesitate a little bit on that, pump the brakes a little bit, maybe don't go quite so aggressive. The alternative method with promotions is to think through a subscriber specific promotion. And the beauty of this is you already have the subscription portal and you have the billing reminder email, or you have them they're more likely to respond to your marketing communications because they are a subscriber. You can use those channels to get people to do that. So an example of that would be like, hey, site-wide is 30% off. For existing subscribers that are already at 20%, you could ask people if they want to opt into that offer on a one-time. You could ask people if they'd like to get an additional product, say at like 50% off on their next order. You can be more aggressive with some of those offers to subscribers because you already have them, right? You don't have, it's not the same math of trying to offset my CAC with acquiring new customers as opposed to giving them that value. So there's a lot of people that are going to take those options and that value instead of going with canceling their subscription and going back to promotion. Again, you should also add on the cancellation experience. That exit survey that people are taking is like, hey, I'm canceling for the sale promotion right now. And then you just give somebody the option to get it at 30% or at whatever that number. It's really easy to set up. If you have any questions about it, just send me a message. Ultimately, when we're thinking about promotions, we're thinking about driving up overall sales for the store. We are thinking about subscribers, and sometimes people are going to cancel and do that. A friend of mine, their skincare brand, they often didn't do very well at acquiring subscribers because they were doing quarterly promotions. And so their customer base was just used to buying in bulk every 3 months when they would run these sales, right? So that makes acquiring subscribers difficult. If you have subscribers and you're still running sales and promotions, that's great. You could also treat them as opportunities to introduce your existing subscribers to other products. If it's a new product release, right? If you start looking at subscribers as a specific cohort, right, within your retention marketing, within your opportunity for launching new products, you're going to be more aggressive, and you're going to actually find that helps your retention program. So if you're launching a new SKU, a new flavor, a new product, be really aggressive. Be more aggressive with your offer to subscribers than you would to existing customers, right? Because then that feels like it's an exclusive offer for being a subscriber, right? Anytime we can remind a subscriber what perks or benefits they're getting that feels exclusive for being a subscriber is a good thing. Okay, that's it for this week's dose. I hope that was helpful as you're thinking through discounts, gifts, and promotions. If you have any questions about offer strategy, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or on our website, thesubscriptiondoc.com. And I'm wishing you all the best of luck as you're ramping up here in January and planning for executing on great subscriber growth throughout the year. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.